what's up, everybody? How's it going? Happy Memorial Day. Since we got a little time today, I thought I'd come and talk about something that's been irking my nerve. It always irks my nerve when it happens, so why not keep talking about it until it stops happening? And what I mean is the objectification of single African American women. You know, the estimation that we must have a man, someone else bought our stuff, someone else is paying our bills. And this comes from all people, not just white women or white men. It comes from black men who are now objectifying us because they can get away with it with the new climate of this younger generation, where I'm not saying they're stupid, they're just not very well educated. Also, the immigrant population, it comes into play under patriarchy, right? All of this wholesome, God-loving family sort of thing, and the black men are playing into it because they get their way. Under patriarchy, and we really want to say white male patriarchy, it's all the same. It's all the same. So whoever or whatever is happening where you're going to see an objectification of African American women, it's going to fall under white male patriarchy. I don't care who says it, it's still going to be the same. It's going to be a glorification of the same. So anyway, when I see the Hispanic women saying it now because they're married to black men, as you call them Becky's, or white women when they say it, and it's worse when you see how trifle the African American man has been in not taking care of his family, you know, in a lot of different situations, not doing anything for his children, and then have the audacity to objectify African American women, even the ones that are well educated, because they feel like they're insecure about that. You know, all of these things are coming into play, where you're going to see an isolation of African American women according to this audacious nature of African American men to flaunt themselves as the immaculate when they know that it's just the front. Now, I'm not saying all African American men are bad. I'm not saying all white men are bad. But what I'm saying is they both have the immediate means under patriarchy to objectify African American women, it seems like at will sometimes. So if you're dealing with the reality of the situation, anytime they feel like pulling that lever, you know, the objectification lever, they can do it. And they can just basically call you out by somebody else's name. You know, and then they'll have, this happened in Virginia long ago, so again, it seems almost like it's pre-planned, you know, where it's happened. Some people call it social engineering. I believe that it is. They bring in lots of immigrants after they've had slavery, after they've objectified just black people in general, not giving you work. You finally get to the point where you can own your own businesses, you're making progress, still struggling in a lot of sense of the word, because of the fact that many African American men are jailed. Many are dead. Many are LGBTQIA. Many are single still, and many are dating outside of the race. So we come into that situation where we're talking about that argument of leaving the black man behind and just kind of, you know what I mean, divesting. And in that situation, you're going to have to find a man of another color who says, I'm not going to objectify you in that same way, or fetishize you like they're doing the dark-skinned women. Okay, let's just keep that real. We know that they're fetishizing it's okay to say fetishizing darker skinned women because it suits them for some reason, right? This new woke crap, you know, they're doing that for a reason. This is not something where I'm saying that white men, darker skinned women cannot be together, but they're purposely doing this in order to cause separation within the black community. And I've told you, every time colorism pops up, I always think it's BS, because I know there's someone else pushing it, and usually it's a person of non-color. So with that being said, I saw this video earlier on YouTube, and it was, I don't watch the franchises of the 20-year-olds. You know, the what was it called? I used to like Awkward Black Girl, and then they came out for the new one, which was Insecure, and you guys know that Pharrell was behind that, and he's also from Virginia, in the same area where we're from. So anyway, like I was saying, when we start dealing with seeing patriarchy trickle down to various levels, and we see that whatever we're doing as black women, wherever we succeed, it's still getting downplayed. Okay, if you get a degree, and even black men are doing this, believe it or not, and a lot of them, you know, aren't doing but so well, but they still are doing well enough to talk down to you. You know what I'm saying? And it's because they're competing with black women like children. So that's something, again, that's a return to that kind of 80s type of mentality where they feel threatened by black women, right? And so, I don't know, like I was saying, when we deal with what happened recently in the video that I saw, it was a situation with Insecure and Pharrell and all of that. And you know, I think it's a shame that Pharrell did that. I think that he knew what he was doing. I think that he was using those 20-year-olds because he knows that they have low self-esteem. And to say in a title with a black woman, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a play on words, I've never seen it. I don't want to see it. I told you I like Awkward Black Girl. I was very creative. But unfortunately, the music business and all of entertainment is quite an illusion sometimes. You do get the work because you're talented, but then they try to put a twist upon things when you do get it. So it is what it is, you know, you have to work. So please understand that whole situation was planned to make black women look insecure about themselves. 20-year-olds, that is not normal, you know. 20-somethings, not normal. So, and I think Pharrell knew what he was doing, and you know, karma's a bee, as they like to say. So, you know, he's from the same area I'm from, and that's a no-no. But again, if you're down with the agenda, you're down with the agenda. So, you know what I mean? You just take it as it comes and do what you're told. Now, as for that show, the commenter on the vlog was saying that this person, this guy, dark-skinned guy that she was in a relationship with, in real life is dating a person of non-color, a white woman, and that this was a myth. Even she sounded young, but she was smart enough to know that the whole thing was a sham. It doesn't mean that there aren't black love and relationships and all of that kind of good stuff. Sure, there are, but it's never going to be primarily what you always see. And it's definitely not going to be a black woman who's insecure about herself, and it's not going to be as easy, especially in places like California, places that are very expensive. You're going to have a lot of conversations about money. You're going to have a lot of conversations about cheating. You're going to have a lot of conversations about male insecurity. You know what I mean? And the reality of it is they try to make the exploitation of black women a part of this, you know, loyalty crap to black men. And again, I told you, you know, I'm older than some of you. I remember before Chris Brown and before Pharrell turned tail. And, you know, the first Chris Brown they had, I say the first Chris Brown because I don't know, I think they cloned him or something. Sweet Kid. You know, he's also from Virginia, about 2 hours from where I'm from. Sweet Kid, you know. They turned him into a monster. Now he's all about insecurity, loyalty, and all of this other crap, which we all know. If you're a single black woman, you aren't concerned about loyalty. what have we always had a problem with, though, in our community, you know what I mean, is the black male. We, not as far as I'm concerned, have ever had a problem with women actually being monogamous in a relationship. There may be certain times where you feel like you want to look at someone else, and if you do, you do. However, primarily with these men having, you know, numerous children by numerous women, there's no comment on that. When black men have all of these children out of wedlock, basically exploiting things, they're calling it a polygamy revolution now, where they're thinking they're the king, but of what castle? You know, I mean, it's a dream. And it's a nightmare for many black women to, on top of all of this nightmare, this Nick Cannon crap, this, I don't know what that dude was. He supposedly had 30 kids. Everyone's talking about, I don't know what his name is, the stupid ratchetness of it. Just dumb. You would think they made these stories up. It's immature at best to say that normalizing this behavior is going to be at all something that makes any type of sense. Instead, what they tend to do is they have a backlash where black women even then get the blame. The only thing I would think a black woman would get the blame for, and this is not even necessarily her fault, is having a child with one of these men, because sometimes we don't know. Sometimes we're caught in the mid. Okay, so even if it were the case where we ended up with someone who had multiple children, a lot of times women don't know. And sometimes they'll break up with one person, have a child by another, if they're not doing it behind their back in a relationship. So it pains me to see that there's still this narrative out there. And every time we get a new group of people, whether it be young people, whether it be immigrants, whether it be whoever, we're going to go through this over and over and over again. They're always going to perceive black women as being hypersexual. They're going to try to perceive us as being uneducated. They're going to look at our incomes, compare our incomes to them. And even though now we can clearly see there's a movement where black men are divesting out of black women into other cultures because they don't have to put up with women who are going to tell them about themselves, who are educated enough to say, you're not going to use me to justify your actions. You're not going to reinstill patriarchy like I'm some dummy that doesn't understand anything. I'm not saying black women, you know, are mean, and I'm definitely not saying people who are married to black men who are outside of the black race are dumb. But what I'm saying is, if we know better, they're not even going to try it unless they're stupid. You know what I mean? They're going to be like a D.L. Hughley type who's going to try to do it, no pun intended, but on the DL. Right? And I'm not talking about his sexuality, but I have said that before, you know, and now Monique has said it, so now it's exploding all over the place. But I mean, I don't know. Corny coincidence, I guess. Quinky dink that his initials are DL. But anyway, you know, as far as I'm concerned, and that's another problem too, we're dealing with a lot of men who are competing with women who are actually gay, who have sentiments like your brother, you know, or a jealous, not even jealous sibling, but just a jealous rival. And if you don't even have a girlfriend that you hang out with that's jealous, why on earth would you have a man who acts that way? You know, I don't put boundaries on men. A man is supposed to act this way, a man is supposed to act that way. But there's a lot of women out there who are trying to understand the superwoman syndrome instead of the superman syndrome. You know what I mean? And for once thinking about themselves as being human beings. You know, that's another tactic to create an obstacle for black women, where we're always going to feel inadequate. No matter what we do, it's always going to be a competition. Black men are going to say, oh, you went to university, but you didn't go to Harvard. I went to Harvard. Like he didn't use male privilege and kiss a lot of behind if he's a black man to get into all these institutions. You know, things like that. There's a lot of male privilege, and I don't care if we're not supposed to use the word privilege with black men. There's a lot of male privilege that they take advantage of by kissing white male behind. And believe it or not, they may not know this, but white men do. And they're making a fool of themselves. And I think that that's up to them, right? When we work for white men, we know it as black women, and we tend to categorize it differently. It is work. You know, if we happen to be friends with that person, wonderful. We happen to be dating that person or have a relationship, you know, great. But if not, it's not a ego thing. It's not a self-esteem thing. We don't have masculinity to say, oh, I need to measure up to this gentleman to make myself feel like I'm a man. And if I don't, then I don't feel like a man, you know? And that's totally different for them. And all this situation with black women is about that right now. They're just trying to get what they want by scheming. They're going to scheme, and they're going to start another generation of what I want to call dummies. I hate to call them that, and come out with a situation where they're going to present themselves, or they're going to present themselves as being the stable ones. You know, this is like the brainwashing. The more mature ones, if they see a black woman out there by herself, struggling, working 2 jobs, taking care of kids by herself, they're gonna, God forbid, come out with that promiscuity crap again. Or they're gonna try to downplay if she does have levels of education to make them seem like they're immature beneath theirs because they want to seem like they're more mature. So as we start to see this happen again, we need to start realizing that it's engineered. Because other generations before didn't educate the new generations, we're going to keep going through this. And that's something I learned a long time ago. So word to the wise, if you see this, and it may be, you know, immigrant populations, people who supposedly don't know any better. You know, I've been to California, I've lived in California, Florida, and I can tell you that they know better in those areas, unless they're just off the boat, which is quite rare. So, I don't know. You be the judge, but just to make sure, make it clear. You know, as Malcolm said, make it plain that we ain't going through this again. Because I know I'm not. You better tell them. So anyway, I gotta go. I'll talk to you guys a little bit later.